let's hope that this still works. Does it? Yes, it still works. I don't... why don't I have any in-game sounds? There it is. Alright, now everything should be fine. So, hey everyone! And yes, today I'm just going to build some houses. I've pulled up the old houses from the old version of Kayan al-Bashar, so reference points. And I think it's going to be a baker, if I heard you guys correct. And yes, everybody is live today. So, hey Okapilopper. So, Okapilopper. I haven't streamed in a long time, and I think you guys will notice that. But, hey Okapilover, Scooby Slippers, and Chris Paradoxon. I always say Paradoxon, even though it's Paradoxon. Anyway. So, it's going to be a bit interesting because I want to try and get a little bit of a, well, Kayan al-Bashar style, because these houses are a bit plain. They could be from everywhere, so I want to get something that's a little bit more Kayan al-Bashar, also has a little bit more color, because I thought that I had also blueprinted one of the houses that actually did have a lot of color in the old version of Kayan al-Bashar, and I didn't. So yeah, I'm just going to have to figure it out. And also, before anyone asks, we're not in Kayan al-Bashar because, well, the entire Hagia Sophia, besides the upper dome, had to be redone. And that was fun. I realized that you shouldn't build a building like that from the dome down. Probably should have been better to just start from the very bottom. But now everything should be alright, so Sunday it should be up. And it should be probably a massive video because I couldn't help myself. Alright. Of course, blaster wall. I'm going to use... Baker. What should I get for Baker? Well, first of all, it has to be... First wall is going to be plain because that's going to be connecting to the street. So even if there was color on there, it would be fading too fast. Should be 3 high. But anyway, how are you guys doing? And also, why a baker? I thought a jeweler or something like fancy would be, well, more highly requested. I don't dislike a yellow baker, but I think this is a little bit too much, and that just looks like pure vomit. Oh. Bluish baker. That kind of yellow would be a little bit strange. So before anyone also asks, so these buildings are all like end or corner buildings, so that's why they are, well, big on one side, or they have like a tower. And I didn't have any like buildings that could go in between, so I'm just going to demonstrate what I mean here. But I don't have any buildings yet. Now I want to make this look nice, even though it's just an example. So that's basically what we're going to do a lot of the time. Just build buildings that can go in between these kinds of buildings and are a little bit more than this. So, getting the wall back here. Um, Alright, I'm just going to try and see something. Because, yeah, let's just say something just happened. Nope. I'm just going to quickly look something up, guys. Guess, yeah. Alright. Should be fine. Should be. Hopefully. Alright. 3 high should be good. Then with this yellowish, I want to have a bit more color than just yellow. So let's see if I can make it work. Probably not the best, but should work. Can I color? Yes. I keep pressing caps lock. Don't know why. And I don't select the pieces that I want. This looks a little bit too Indian. Not saying that there's anything bad with that, but Kayan al-Bashar so far hasn't drawn on that much Indian influence, so it would be... yeah, don't think Indian will actually be in Kayan al-Bashar. Can I actually... Not that red, just that. Either the chat has died or I did something wrong. Hey, Scooby. Yeah, I was kind of afraid that I did something wrong because, well, someone was spamming an advertisement in the Twitch stream, so I thought, alright, I zoomed in on the Twitch stream, what is something, maybe that changed something. I do feel like it's an accomplishment though, in a way. The first, I would say, advertisement bot thingy. Also, how am I going to turn this into a baker? Right now I'm just like, what kind of colors can I use? Baker. Wait, actually I said that the lower area would usually be a little bit less well kept because, well, the family doesn't live here. This is probably rented out in some way. So, Baker. Also, if I'm right, Chris, were you the one who said halfway through the last video that was saying domes, and I guess if he had so much that started to make you laugh? Or was it someone else? Turquoise. I always have like a general idea what turquoise is, but then when I actually look for it, it's kind of like, oh wait, I don't. For me, it's just like, this is light blue? No, this would make it a little bit too extreme. But I can use this to kind of look how the color would look. Turquoise is this lighter color, right? I think I want to... No, that's a little bit too much. That would be nice. I mean the turquoise, which is between blue and green. Was I at the right spot? Yep. I don't want to use that piece, but I know that the colors would work then. And I don't know where I want to use it. Maybe actually this, instead of being... Yeah. No. That was like the quickest turnaround. It's just like, yeah, that's... No. Never mind. So... It's a little bit too muted, I would say. A little bit. Then with some white. Also, I am thinking of renaming the Traders District because these buildings are all going to go into the Traders District. But I'm thinking of renaming it into the Medina District because it's the more culturally appropriate name for it. Appropriate word. Because that's in essence what the Traders District was. It was just a huge market district, which is kind of similar to just, well, a Medina district. And there's another word for it which I don't even want to try to pronounce because that's me, and pronunciation never goes well. It's like souk, something. I actually like that. I'm always really scared to use colors, but then when I end up doing colors, it usually ends up being completely fine. Do I want a slated roof or a flat roof? I'm just going to look how it looks. Because with a slated roof there would be a little bit of an overhang, because I can't build a roof without an overhang anymore. So actually that wouldn't be such a weird color, though it definitely makes it look a lot more Indian. either this. That's too bright. That's the annoying thing when you go for different materials. They never look the same. Even though this should not be the same color. I think orange would then be the best decision, so it's now the decision between slate roof or flat roof. They wouldn't use loose stones for the roof because that would just be dangerous. Especially since this isn't a estate or something. I can't find the piece that I'm looking for again. That's annoying. No. No. There it is. It's blue. Of course it is. This is going to be this color again because nobody's going to see this, so why spend expenses on making it look nice? I think I'm going for the flat roof because it allows me to go more detailing, and that's always a good thing. Oh. So so many things. I also wanted to ask you guys because it's going to be a bit of an important thing in, well, bit of an important thing. It's basically going to be the next Disney rent. But have you guys seen the new version of Aladdin? No, that's a little bit too much. Wait, I'm going to change the material. Because that was originally going to be the inspiration for the Sultan's Palace. Don't know how that went from the palace from the remake of Aladdin to the Sultan's Palace or to the Hagia Sophia, but it did. No, that looks even more Indian. This I can work with, but maybe make this a little bit less intense of a color. So what if I make the top part also that color? That will make it colorful, but not to an extreme that's just like overwhelming. Then we have a color accent here. The rest of the building is yellow, orange-ish, but not to the extreme. Nope. Nope. Please don't say that I have to make my own windows because that's annoying. I can use these ones. Yep, going to use these because I'm lazy. Then switch these. But have any of you guys seen the live action remake of Aladdin? That's maybe too many windows. Let's see. Upper part is there, so that floor should be there. No, that looks weird. Unhappily not. Yeah, it's, for me at least, right now the best of the remakes. Because it does draw on the original story, but it also brings in new things. Am I just going crazy, or does that side... Oh wait, this is a window that was normally supposed to go there, and it's weird in the color of the windows. Why is that? Could make something out of this if I try hard enough. And I'm also a sucker for just, well, how it looks right now. That actually works. Surprised that it did. What do you do while building a plant zoo, and do you have 2 monitors? Scooby, I have 2 monitors. That's the reason that I can see the chat right now. Otherwise, I would not be able to see any of it. But most of the time, I'm either watching YouTube videos, or I am, well, listening to music or something. I think it's a little bit of like a, well, it's not a complete cliche answer of like listening to music, but it just really helps. As with Kayan al-Bashar, it doesn't have to be like Arabian slash just, well, Eastern music. Especially for like houses like this one. It just needs to give me a little bit of the feel of the era that I'm in. So any kind of medieval music for this one would do. So small length. Since this isn't supposed to be stuck on the window, this is supposed to be just able to be opened. So that way. No, that doesn't work. But most of the time I just zone out. And just leave basically any kind of music on. So also, just because I want to explain it, not because you guys asked, but the reason I'm putting always these screens in front of the windows is because it's a cultural thing. Because, well, women were confined to the house in, well, Eastern countries around the Renaissance. They weren't really supposed to be seen, so the only way they could see the outside world basically is through the windows, and then usually the windows in a way had these covers so that they in a way could really sneakily look into the windows. Or at least that's what like the, I would say, utopic version or utopia version of a house was. Almost none of the houses in cities really went to like the utopia of what people wanted. So most houses, well, I found like a document or paper on like how houses in the Islamic world in around the Renaissance were built, and they already said almost none of the houses in cities really were able to go to the lengths to get like the perfect house. Almost none of them could do that. Because there were a lot of things that you then had to take into account. Only like the palaces could be able to be even remotely close to the utopia version of a house. So now it looks like these can be opened. We have a little thing, actually. And I'm also not worried about the piece count because all of these houses are usually 1,000 pieces. Because the roof is usually not important. Well, it is important, but mostly just, you know, keeping it dry. So, now it looks like the windows can actually be opened. I really wanted for these windows to actually be reflective, because now it's just a gray area. But yeah, you can't have everything, sadly. Thank you, Chris. I use those bamboo pieces for a lot of things that I want to make it look like they could be opened, like almost like a book or so. Actually, I think I used them as the opening for a book. This could give a little bit of realism to the building. Because I'm also drawing inspiration from Florence. Basically Renaissance cities all over the place. Well, all around the Mediterranean, of course. But then, well, Istanbul also, of course, had a lot of influence from Byzantine buildings. No, that's going to be too much. Then I just need some wall anchors. These flowers could actually work for that. So besides decoration, this is also actually a functional part of the building. Because this shows where the beams of the floor are. Because they are lodged into the building. Other way I do that as well, by having the beams actually extend outside of the building. It's going to be hard to blend these buildings with this one, because this one is really colorful. And I still haven't made it really into a baker. No. Maybe a small little window here. just a tiny one. Where is the window? There it is. So, yeah. Then I'll think to keep the flowers in. Flower box stuff thingy. There needs to be a bit more dimension to this building, I think. Maybe if I put these ones a little bit out. That is a little bit too far. Again, with the Minecraft way of building, just add pillars to the sides. Flowers don't really work well. So this is drawing a little bit more on Rome, or Florence. But it's still a little bit flat. How can I change that? Well, let's first add a door. And since this would be a family door, so or would the family enter from the... No. If the family entered from the back side of the building, then the backside needs to be as elaborate as this. Which I don't think will happen. Actually... I think it's just that color. Because this is the color of the Hagia Sophia that I've been using, so maybe that's putting it off. Oh, wait. Or more brownish color. This is why it's easy to keep buildings that you're going to mix it with close by. Just so that you can use the colors that you have already been using. And I constantly want to do something that the game doesn't want me to do. I don't know, it misses something. Well, besides the chimney, of course. But in a building this size, the bakery would be inside, so I can't really show that too much outside. Let's just make it laundry day. That's the easiest way to get life into a building. Just hang out the laundry or something. Either bamboo or... I'm just going to use these again. Again, I can't really basically build anything for habitats with climbable animals in the city, but don't worry about it too much. So could of course also try this on the roof, but then it wouldn't be seen. So this is purely an aesthetic choice, because they will probably just dry it on the roof. You could put some beams in wall. Oh yeah. Kind of like the... what is the name of it? It has a name, but I don't know it anymore. Waddle work, I think it's named. Basically what I somewhat did with these, where I just have this showing. I'm really afraid that's either going to look very Indian or very Mexican. Because right now it looks a little bit like a mix of the two. Which isn't too bad, but... see, where are those tiny beams? Tiny, tiny beams. These. Going for... oh wait. These. Alright, so going for the structure of how this wall would then be built up. First of all, the windows are of course in a hole. I don't know if this was your or what you wanted with the suggestion, but this is how I'm taking it. It's sad that we don't have these in like 1 meter. We only have the 2-meter ones. You're not seeing this through the window, so that's great. That's a bit too thin. Don't know why I like my beams chunky. Or the shorter beams? Sadly, no. Wait, maybe in structural things. I never really look in these because there are always things that I just don't like. I mean, This one is nice if it was recolorable, because now it says this weird yellowish tone. I like the idea, but so far the execution of it is a bit lacking for me. Just going to see if what I had originally thought of is going to work. And no, that just looks weird. I think the main problem with this building right now is that it's so flat. But that could also make it easier to blend with other buildings. Just going to see how it looks. Also, this is the easiest place to blend it. Yeah, it's first off too bright, so that's something we need to change. At least these pillars are way too bright for most buildings here. That helps already. Timmy oops. I'm just going to pretend that I know what you said. So now that it's a little bit less light, should blend in a little bit better with the surrounding buildings. Yes, it was already just a huge amount. Like sometimes the tiniest things can make a huge difference. Don't like, but I like the idea of this, but the beam itself is a bit too shiny for me, so I'm going to use other beams for this. Some frescoes. I always use these things. Oh, wait. I think this is already making it busy enough. I think I will just make sure this is the back of the building, so they are not going to use really powerful colors here. Because color like this would be probably quite expensive to get. Also, one of my earbuds is just constantly just sliding out of my ear, which is fun. This really gives the idea of like, yeah, this is the front, this is where you're supposed to be. Back, don't worry about that. And then the sides I don't have to do anything because they're going to stick into a building. I'm going to bring these down because, again, Minecraft way of building is just add pillars to a place. Actually, so Oh wait, I know what I'm going to do, which is pretty, well, self-explanatory, but this is a desert building. The sun is able to shine directly into these windows. So unless they constantly cover it up with curtains, yep. And it allows it to blend in with these buildings with the, where is it? These things. So yeah, that's also the train of thought. Can the sun directly shine into this building? If yes, then probably not going to be the best thing for the building. Sadly, it doesn't snap onto the rest. Yep, and now just the part where there's no, well, covering thing before it is in the shade. Although I can be a bit more generous and give them even more. Because obviously looking at this building is not for a poor biker. I'm thinking that this is more like a pastry baker or something like that. Something that requires a bit of extra knowledge to actually get into. That someone, well, not that for a normal bakery you wouldn't have to need any knowledge, but this is probably like a pastry baker for upper middle class, maybe lower upper class. But Chris, what are Timmy-oops? Also, someday I want to be able to use something in here for just the building. Also, can we just say please have justice for the natural termite mound, because still the only animal that can use it is the giant anteater. Yeah, this already brings a lot more, well, height, just brings a lot more to the building. These are supposed to be shutters. I have never used this thing. I mean, if we ever make a butcher, this would be a great thing actually. Can you... No, can't repaint it. With custom made animals. I can look it up quickly. I mean, I have Steam open. The first thing that I see is like a giant you can. Oh. Found them. Cool, we built a medieval castle and birch. I don't know if I will be able to use what he has made in Kayan al-Bashar, because it has a bit of a modern vibe going on, which I sadly am not able to use. Alright, now it goes into how to make this into a baker. Also, wait. Well, since it's a pastry baker, Just some herbs hanging out to dry. They would do this. Sometimes plants make a building. Sometimes it can also destroy them, but let's not talk about the times that it can. Don't think I want to have a lot of color in the plants here though. That's too large, that's way too large. What did I say? Wait, I do it. No. One time that this doesn't work. It's too bright. Oh wait. If you swing these open, any plant you have on here would either fall off or be squished. So no plants there. But I could still make some things hang because, you know, maybe this pastry maker likes to, you know, use, well, herbs and everything in his pastries. Or herbs. Anything had to be natural basically back then. Unless you were sick, because then, wow. But I think I'm going with this then, to make it look like the wall is not in complete, like, the greatest look. That's like somewhat in disrepair. Hey Comet, how are you doing? And just a quick heads up, I'm trying to make a pastry maker. Now that would be great if we actually had the shops that we had in Planet Coaster, because then you would actually have a pastry maker. Although Missy Goodness I think also, well, donuts. But it's as close as we can get probably.
No, 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 no.
So now that is just the creepiest sound ever. That nom 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 nom. Yeah. So I'm really wondering what the Frontier team thought of these sounds. Like, oh yeah, this is funny. No, it's creepy as fuck. Can I can't recolor anything here. I wanted to recolor this. Or this wouldn't work. These planks are too large. It does spring over it, so it should work, but sadly can't recolor it too much, and I'm not going to spend eternity redecorating the entire shop. So pastry maker, so there should be a chimney. Actually, Chimney, chimney, chimney. I'm just going to try something out. Might work, might not. Might be the death of us all. Actually make this a little bit larger because, well, for a baker or pastry maker. No, that would be weird to have it on the facade of the building. Three meters high. Alright, so I have an idea on how, like, ovens used to look like, which they were huge, or could be huge. But you need a large chimney for that as well. So just to make sure that this works. Then just turn this into pure black. Tinier column. But I can't use woods, or shouldn't. Because it is going to pile up here, so if it's completely wooden on top, then it could easily catch on fire, which we don't want a second Great Fire of London. Well, then it would be the Great Fire of Kayan al-Bashar this time, but we don't want that. I hope you guys don't want that. So looks alright to me. That's too much. We can have some iron sticks. Nope. We can just pretend that this is iron. Actually, stone. Where's the right piece of stone? Well, I haven't streamed in almost 2 weeks, so it might really feel like that, Jen. Also, hey. So, chimney. Not that color, but I now know how to do that. Then a keystone. My earbud is again slowly falling out of my ear. Well, Jen, aren't we all right now living a little bit under a rock with everything going on? Wait, this should... Maybe it was originally that color, but it should now be a little bit more like this. Because, of course, soot and everything, and just general smoke. Sad thing is I can't put the smoke thing in because I don't know what way this house will face. It would make sense for the chimney to actually be to the back of the house. How many of these... This is always a fun thing. How many of those mud brick pillars did I do? But originally I was going to plan to stream tomorrow. And then I figured out, oh wait, I can't finish the video that I had planned for today, so that's why I'm streaming today. Surprise, surprise, everybody's streaming today. I constantly keep going into buildings. Wait. This is a bakery, so they would need to have a lot of firewood nearby. Best way to dry firewood out in the desert is to just throw it in the sun. This is the reason why I ask you guys what kind of profession, because it shapes the building. And I just love making buildings for, well, with a story. Oh, that's a good point, but I also live in the US and we've kind of done our regular war move. Yeah. Isn't the US also one of the... Well, I live in the Netherlands and here it's been going down, the amount of cases. Actually, it has been down for quite a long time. So, don't know if it will remain that way, because of course I will never truly know if everything went as planned, but right now everything here seems to be cheery. Like the intensive cares aren't being swamped anymore, but then I don't think they have been swamped in at least a month or something. then it got so expensive. I saw something somewhere of like in every movie, it's always like America or well, the United States who like are the badasses in the movies, but then when something real actually happens in America, it's just like half of the people have no idea what to do, and then it's usually the countries who, in movies at least, are usually portrayed as the ones who can't figure things out, who actually do figure things out. But yeah, I think the general advice is still try to keep indoors or at least at home if you can. Unless it's like medical necessity or something. So this is all just an elaborate thing to house firewood. That's well, firewood. To house all of the wood being used by the ovens. Sometimes I get way too much into things. I'm also still thinking how long am I going to survive this. I usually thought of America as the way of like, this is not the most animal friendly example, but like when it comes to like dogs, that they a lot of bark, but as soon as you get close to them they whimper and go away. So as soon as something happens, it's just like complete terror or complete like what the hell do we do. Which again is like the total opposite of how it's usually portrayed in movies. Let's... Well, America or the US does have a bite, just ask Japan. And, well, sometimes they bite without thinking. Ask the majority of the world. Eh, do you guys think that this might be a little bit too elaborate for storing firewoods? It might be a little bit too large. Just have to move this in a little bit. Move this in. So. And now to make firewood. Fun things. Where's that one piece? well, Jen, then you should just, get into my problem of just making things bigger every time, because that's not too big of a place to just store firewood. Or, well, fuel for the oven. This is a perfectly normal amount of firewood. But then again, ovens would use a lot back then. Fitting that in, then just going like this. So it wouldn't be this neat, but it's more firewood than I think is really that necessary, but so I can just get some pieces, turn it. There are only a few times where I turn everything off. I really am actually curious, like how, well, geography and just world history is taught in different countries. Because, of course, well, Germany is probably focusing on different things than, let's say, Switzerland. But then I also always found it strange that there's like statues of, like, what was it? Confederates? No. With the Civil War in the US, with the South against the North because slavery. I always find it curious, like, why are there still statues of the generals or, well, the people who tried to sustain slavery? That's always what I'm curious about, how history and geography is just taught in different areas of the world. Especially Poland. Because I'm going to. I think I said the name already wrong, but Poland is like the joke of Europe when it comes to like invasions, because it's always getting invaded. Every war they just are getting invaded. So I'm wondering, all right, how are you taught about that in school? Yeah. Well, here in the Netherlands, we of course also still have statues of, well, let's just say questionable people. Although I don't know, I think it actually was in London or something where they toppled the statue of like a slaver into a canal. And I mean, I get it if you keep those statues in like a museum because then it is educational, but when it's just in a square, it's mostly to, well, your Twitch stream stopped. It should still be on. Just going to look. Look. Yeah, it should. Yeah, it's on. It's on. Otherwise, Twitch. Because all the programs that I have running say that's somewhat running fine. There's almost no audio because the game does. Oh wait, that's what I forgot. Hey, Scooby Slippers. I forgot that there was music in this game. And I forgot that I have it. Actually, it should start to play now. Then also, oh yeah, I should. I should sit up straight and drink some water. But yeah, when a statue of like, well, a slaver, for example, is in a museum, then it's educational. But when it's in a square, then it's mostly like when it's in a square, it's usually to celebrate something. And I don't think slavery is something that should be celebrated. But then that's also just how I am thinking of it. So, while I am using the streams a lot more, or at least I talk about politics a lot more on the streams. I don't really talk about politics and such whenever I'm on YouTube, because like I like to keep my channel free of politics, religion, and everything. Maybe you guys have noted that none of the buildings that I built in Planet Zoo or Planet Coaster had any, well, it had connections to real life, mostly dead religions. Yeah, when it is to remind you of bad things, but then it's usually in an explicit way built to make you understand like this is something that we should avoid. When it's just like a, well, I'm just going to use the slaver example because that's where my brain is right now. But if it's just like a statue of a, well, slaver looking heroic in some way, then you usually won't really get that it's, well, meant to show that this shouldn't happen. And also, thank you, Josel TV. Don't know if for sure if that's how you pronounce it, but hey. And also for finally, that sound is not destroying my eardrums. I haven't done anything, but for some reason the sound is a lot less loud. Now the game is a little bit loud. Because finally the music started kicking in. When it comes to plantations, I am a little bit on the fence because of course it's a building that's usually showing like an architecture style that is now no longer built, so it becomes an historical building, but it does have a gruesome past, so yeah, maybe not the best to like take your wedding photographs, but when it comes to like making it into a museum, that should be fine. It's meant for Valhalla, but I think it better fits here. I think I have to wait for the rest of the thing. But I think French Revolution is teach because France is our neighbor country. At this time, France was also a trendsetter for Europe. France Revolution. Yep. France for a lot of things was actually a trendsetter in Europe. first it was Italy and then it slowly moved to France. You know, going from like Renaissance into Enlightenment period. I've literally like I didn't pay that much attention in history class, but for some reason it's stuck. Like I've no clue how I keep remembering these things. Although don't ask me dates or something like that because that's something I didn't remember. But it didn't work. It was a good card and I felt it would work here. I am trying to set up a Discord, so maybe if I can get that to work, then you can send it there, but that would still probably be a week. I think I've been talking about setting up a Discord for a month now. But I think the American and French Revolution, yeah, we are also taught about both of those things, and they are used as like an example of like, well, fast change. Because most of history is slow change. Well, I think that's actually the definition of a word of the word revolution, a fast change. All right, so there needs to be a door to get up here, which should probably be against the wall because you will probably not have a actual staircase going up here, but most likely a ladder or something. Then the door would be like this. So, I'm going to mute myself for a bit because I'm going to no. I want something that looks like it's, well, actually flour wouldn't be made here. It would be bought. So I don't actually have to put anything related to flour or something here. However, what I can do, and what I will do, is, if I can find it, can't. Obviously, because I'm frantic. So, actually it should be one longer. I'm actually surprised that, well, I of course can't say if this is like for the whole United States because it's, well, I only know how Jen learned it, but I was actually surprised that you didn't, well, let's just say that, what the hell did I do there? So, that the French Revolution isn't that, well, expressively taught, because from what I know, the French Revolution started in a way because the French supported the American Revolution. And because they were going broke off of that, that kick-started the French Revolution, because there was first of all inspiration from the English Revolution, or English American Revolution, but then also French was broke because they supported the American Revolution, and so things were going to shit in France. And then the king lost his hat. So I'm actually surprised that the French Revolution isn't that big. I just thought that we didn't need anyone's help. Yeah, you guys. Also, hey, Zekin, and from what I know, the English were helped by the French. Or the Americans were helped by the French. Because France and England never like each other. I think that's just throughout in the entirety of history. And to this day, that, well, not really to this day, but still a little bit, but the French and the English never really got along, which is weird because William the Conqueror was French. Or at least for the majority of time after William the Conqueror conquered England, the national language at court in England was French. So I'm always surprised that they never got along. But then there was 100 Years' War. There's a whole lot of stuff between England and France. And also, Zikin, this today is the history stream. Oh yeah, and that let them eat cake is probably not true that she said that. Civil wars about states' rights, yeah. Well, I think the South did want to break free, but there was also a thing of like, well, scared over changing things. So this is to transport firewood from the roof down. One of my earbuds keeps falling out of my ear. I really have decided that one of my, well, not ears, but ear canals is just larger than the other. Yeah. But that's a big thing, like, the world is going to change and there will always be people resisting that change just because they're either afraid things will change too much for them, or they just like how it is as it is. Which normally isn't a good thing for the majority of people. So then if it works, nice to learn some history while I look. Well, yes. Right now we're on the topic of American/French Revolution. I mean, we went from statues of slavers to here, so we're moving. This doesn't work because these pillars, or this pillar is too thick. Why I need to be queen of the universe. Hmm. This isn't the right... Wait, this should be paintable. Why isn't it showing up there? So... The world is a mess and I just need to rule it. The world will be a mess anyway. That might sound very pessimistic or negative, but... I mean, we will always find something to squabble over. And if we think we have... well... bettered everything that we first wanted to change, then we will find something else. Dutch history. Well, there's of course the big chapter of slavery as well in when it comes to that period. Let's think. Well, the big thing is like the golden age of the Netherlands and such, when the Netherlands were at its peak. That's usually where we kind of stick, that it's going almost straight into the industrial age. The golden age of the Netherlands were... yeah, it was already called the Netherlands back then, were the Low Countries. Republic of the Low Countries, but if I'm correct, 1600s, 1500s, it was at least, I would say, 100 years after the Renaissance, so I think it was the 1600s. It wasn't that long. I think it was at max like 50 years or it was around the time when like all the big painters of the Netherlands were around, with like Rembrandt and others, because I can't remember names. Yeah, I think it's also 1600s, because I know that it was at least 100 years after Italy had its Renaissance. And the Netherlands, before it was called the Netherlands, was usually the Low Countries, which is basically what the Netherlands still means. Or Low Countries, in Dutch we call it de Lage Landen. But before there was like the Republic of the Netherlands, then it was owned by basically everyone, because the Netherlands is most of the times too small to fend off countries like France and Germany, and well, actually England never took over the Netherlands. Surprisingly, we took over England. Like, that's still the biggest surprise, that the Netherlands one time, for the lifetime of one ruler, controlled England, or Great Britain at that moment. The tulip craze, that's actually also 1600s. Because That was the time that tulips were like, well, they were seen as very, I don't know why, but they just became worth like a year's wages, or were like worth their weight in gold for some time. And then everybody lost their money right after because, well, that's just what happens when people realize that's actually not that valuable. Then it just drops. Yeah, in the 1900s we were mostly occupied. And then it was the Cold War, which surprisingly is also like a very small page from what I remember when it comes to history. When I was taught history, well, as I said, got really stuck in like the golden age and then just didn't really have time for anything else. But the Netherlands had its moments. People are still like wanting to know what if the Netherlands didn't give up New Amsterdam or what's nowadays New York. Would America then be speaking? Well, no. America would never speak Dutch, even if we kept on to New York. Because again, Netherlands is way too small to hold off bigger countries like England and, well, at that time, Spain. So, yeah. But it would have been interesting to know how New Amsterdam then would have looked if it wasn't given to the British and transformed into New York. Yeah, the Netherlands owns. The Netherlands started New York, because then it was called New Amsterdam, and then either through a sale or through conquest or just demands, the British got it, and we got a bit of land in South America. What animal would you like to see in the next DLC as maybe out next month? Um, Thinking that it's probably going to be an Australian DLC because, well, I think we only actually have, let me think. Yeah, exhibit animals for Australia, so it's probably, well, probably is without a doubt going to be Australia. But I think we will definitely get, well, koalas, kangaroos. It's funny that every time someone curses, I have to manually approve the comments. But I don't know. I want, of course, a beaver. That's the animal that I always want. I also want a platypus, but if Frontier is going realistic, then we are not getting a platypus. Because, well, platypuses don't really do well in zoos. I don't know why I keep putting something up there. I'm lucky that I'm not recording this, because it would have been a mess. And I spent almost 2 hours on this. And I still haven't made it into like a real bakery. We only have a chimney and some firewood. Beaver. But then the interesting thing with the beaver is how is Frontier, if they're going to ever add a beaver, which I grow more doubtful of by the day. Because beavers, you really can't make a, well, habitat for as easily. Because, well, their shelter is a dam. They're not going to be happy with just any normal shelter. But yeah, whatever DLC it's going to be, I hope to one day get a beaver. But besides that, I can't get chupacabra out of my head, even though that's not a real animal. But for some reason it snuck into my head and I just can't get it out. So, then just that. I mean, also, well, Jen, you should probably know this, but like half of the US was at one time Spanish. I mean, LA, and I think the region that you live in was also for a long time Spanish. And then, well, I think everybody knows that like Louisiana, or I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but everything surrounding New Orleans was French. And then, well, mostly everything down into the Caribbean, that's Spanish. There's a lot of countries that used to own American ground. Sadly, the only ones that aren't owning American ground are the Native Americans. The actual people that lived there when the Europeans came now barely have any lands. I had a trick for making bread. Yeah, all of the Southwest US. So, well, Los Angeles is City of Angels. German has some colonies in Brazil. Yeah, Germany always surprises me when it came to colonies. Because they were, I think, one of the last to really get colonies. And then it was like scrambling to get anything. Because it was kind of like a status thing as well. Big loaf of bread, but then just some tiny ones. Then the more expensive bread is white. With, if I can get this to work, brown. That just looks like straight up vomit. So. And Columbus also, we got Madagascar, we got the penguins. Madagascar will for always, in my head, be penguins. I know it's not, but it just won't leave my head. And, well, Columbus was also massacring the native population of, well, America and Caribbean. He's not really one that actually should be as celebrated as it is. Because he did some terrible things. I'm also still looking for that one piece that I used in bread earlier. These can be like some tarts. Hey Trex. Want some pies or pastries? Don't think making them green is going to be that pretty. Also have to think of like what colors could be. So pastries. Well, well, I knew that they had some things in Africa, but from what I know, Germany was never while in it when the rest of the world was really getting all of the colonies. Spiky bread. Getting a face here. Wow. You can imagine. Excuse me. This is probably like something with strawberries or something. But I want something that really looks like pastry, but I don't think we have anything small enough to be pastry. Because this is just going to look like cheese. I miss the sugary pieces that we had in Planet Coaster. They were so easily turned into like bread and something like that. Oh wait, I do remember what I used to get the cross thingy on bread. If I can just find it again. It was this thing. Then just do that. I know it shouldn't be in front of the door, but it's the only place right now. Yeah, I think the family will have to vacate the premises. Because otherwise I can't hide things. The frames are natural, yeah. You could use the in-game sacks for flour and stuff like that. Yeah. It's funny that this is just named sack. Like, it's just sack. Also, hey Emma. Bakery. Actually, now that I come to think of it, I can keep the door there. I just need to make sure to hide these things well. Then keep it in line with that. So because this is a stall that would always be there, so it can be a bit more built up. Because if it was a temporary stall, then I would just have the tables. Thank you, Emma. Then to add some color to the building. And also because this is going to be a house in the Medina district. So I really like that we have these cloths because they are really useful almost everywhere. Just for a quick awning or something else. I mean, I can also make flags out of these things. And I have actually no idea how popular these things were when they were made for Planet's Coaster with the Team Maker's Toolkit. Also because I wanted to look crowded like most Medina districts are. But there's a lot of fun things about history. I usually watch a lot of YouTube videos which make it a little bit more fun than like your average well, history book, because history books are usually pretty boring. The Maker's Toolkit is, or yeah, still is, basically the way that people are making new pieces in Planet Coaster. So basically you make a model and then you can via some magic in the Team Maker's Toolkit get it in game. So that's how we got, at least in Planet Coaster, a lot of like Greek statues, a lot of like Disney or realistic items when it came to like, if you wanted to make the interior of a shop, you could get like a lot of what would be standard merchandise. I like this. I still want to add something to here. I also want to add a most of the time I play this game is spent just looking for that one piece that I can never find. But the Team Maker's Toolkit is in a way, I think the way that Planet Coaster is still really alive, because new items keep getting added by players to the game. I mean, there are now all these Disney figures that are also being added. Of course, all those, well, how do you call it? The merchandise thingies and realistic things. Yep, bakery sign. But I want to find a piece that works. And I'm also again looking for those rope thingies. I can never find them. There they are. Oh, I also need to make that these things aren't floating. sign. Well, the Team Maker's Toolkit was added as basically one of the last things before Frontier moved on to Planet Zoo. I don't really know why it's not being added right now, because as you said, Jen, it would really help with like a lot of pieces just being added, or could be added. Ah, this one is not double-sided. Now it is double-sided. In a way, because Planet Coaster right now is in like, how do you call it? Maintenance mode, where basically there's like a ghost shell still like providing some updates to the game. But it's basically to keep the game alive after Frontier has left. I have again pressed caps lock. Someone wanted white pastry. I agree, Seeking, although I don't really know about the entire process because I can't really do any modeling or something. Like, at all. But I have heard that it's kind of confusing and sometimes a little bit hard to get into. So, Trax, you are now officially a pastry baker as well, but Animal Mods, yeah. Although I did hear that they were like, well, the modders. I haven't heard anything from Frontier, but I did hear that they were like trying to look into if they could potentially make it so that they can add instead of only replace. But that's only a distant thing. They have no idea if that's ever going to actually be feasible. So now it looks like it's actually attached to the building. So yeah, it would be amazing because there are millions of animals on the earth, and Frontier is probably only going to really look at the popular animals because, again, it is a company, so they have to make money, and people usually want the popular animals. I mean, I would be fine without a giant panda. But going back to Blanco after Planet Zoo, it's kind of a mixed barrel because Planet Coaster is a little bit more, well, there's a lot more groundwork that has been done there. It's of of course it's a finished game. There's no expansions or DLCs coming out anymore for that. So it's a little bit more of like a, I would say, stable game. The only thing is like the lighting is very different in Planet Zoo compared to Planet Coaster, where Planet Zoo does it a lot better. I don't want to add too much to the building in the way of like stalls and such, but just going to quickly turn it around.
Yes, you get. Yum, yum.
This one is meant to actually go on the right, so this is not how it's going to be, but I just want to look how it works and if it works. So then it would go a little bit like this probably. I don't think I have actually any, well actually I do have a building that's can go on the other side. I think it works. With this rope thing. Yeah, it looks like it's just, well, roped together. But I want to add more buildings like these, because of course now it's one colored building in between two beige buildings. I really loved my beige. I still do. Can't lie about that. But this is how it's... this is the annoying thing with the draw distance. The moment you get farther away, these things just disappear and it looks chunky. Looks like the wall is dirty, and then the further you go, also the domes disappear. So I'm going to try and minimize the color red in the buildings, because I mean I've color coded Kayan al-Bashar, and red is equal to poorer buildings because the dirt looks red, so then the house is just made out of dirt. So brightly colored yellow, green, blue, that's probably the colors that I'm going for when it comes to these kinds of buildings. But I think it helps to have also some beige buildings where there's no paint. Because not everybody is going to want, first of all, to have a building like that. So I'm just going to set this in the thing. I mean, I still have to make the back side, because that's just empty, but I don't have the ideas for that right now. Flowers in front of the others. Flowers are also expensive thing in the desert. Yeah, but then I also have to think about Kayan al-Bashar, and Kayan al-Bashar, the floating islands are so lush that they're basically crowded with flowers. So maybe once we get to the poorer areas, because these are all middle class buildings, I would say. Yeah, no, it's, well, this could be an estate, but then I don't think one family owns this whole building. But in the poorer areas, flowers would be a little bit more of an expensive item. But probably for these kinds of, well, the people living here, they wouldn't be that expensive. So I probably am going to stream tomorrow as well, just building more of these buildings. So I'm not going to end here. I'm just looking at like, what should the next building be? Again, guys, I'm going to ask what profession, because that's where the building usually starts. I still have to work a little bit on it. Some carpets, curtains, and lights. Yeah, lights is usually something I do last. I still have to replace these because this is just a fire hazard. Also, just a general tip for anyone building a realistic medieval building. Torches are usually not used because they burn really quickly, they are an incredible fire hazard, and they produce a lot of dirt. Because this would just be completely black with soot from this. And you would then also have to clean it, you would have to change it quickly because if the torches get too low, they would just catch on. Well, the beams would just catch on fire. Oh, the Squirrel's Tavern. Yeah, that's probably going to be a big build because there needs to be an inside for that one. A Weaver. That would be kind of cool to make. Oh wait, and I need to make a loom. Or however the thing is called. Going to quickly look up if that's feasible still to do. Loom. Because I'm not going to be able to create a spinning wheel or something like that. Why do I only see... Oh, wait. I could make it. Not the building in its entirety because it's 10 p.m. And I have to wake up tomorrow at 4 again. So, probably tomorrow I'm going to build a weaver. And... Weaver. Probably blue. That building will be in the majority of blue tones. And this is also supposed to actually be a tavern, just a smaller one. It is fun though, that's... all of these buildings use basically all of the packs. Well, these ones don't use the South America pack because it wasn't released yet. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to build anything anymore. But tomorrow, probably same time, and then we will build a weaver. I am thinking, can I open Planet Coaster really quickly? I don't know if camels actually have anything to protect their feet. Because they're usually, well... They might have horseshoes, but they also usually live in like sandy areas, so... I don't know if they actually have something really to protect their feet. Just going to look up. Why, when I look up camel, do I only get a rock band? Oh. And the camels have sort of padding underneath their feet, it seems. Kind of, well, I now think of like the same kind of padding that you usually have on like the feet of a cat. Because camels don't really have hooves, they kind of just have weird toes. Because horses are meant to like usually walk on firmer material, so they would need something that is a little bit firmer. I'm going to look if I can bring up Planet Coaster really quick. So in the meantime, you guys are getting a boss screen. I still have to make that a new one. Hey, Roopstar. You might have said that a while ago and I just didn't notice. But hot sand or something. Well, that's why they have those bats. They protect against the heat. From what I read on like Wikipedia. Because the first thing that I got when that's this is going to take a while because I'm loading up Tianopolis, which is going to take really long. I also have to make sure that specific window planet coaster. I'm not going to do anything here, but just trying if I can show Terra how planet's coaster looks. Yeah. This is going to really take some time. But I wanted to talk about something. Oh yeah, sand cats. Everybody just look up sand cats. They are the most adorable animal ever. If we ever get like an African DLC, which is probably the last one because Africa is right now like, well, 80 to 70% of the game. But if we ever get Africa, I want sand cats because they are adorable. And of course, fennec foxes. Basically, I want all adorable, fluffy animals. Can I find a picture of... I'm going to find a picture of sand cats. I'm just going to traumatize you guys with that. Because they are adorable. Sand. I'm looking for the cutest picture. Well, this is a sand kitten. So, doubly adorable. Can I put it in? Image. Sand cats, come on. Sand cat or sand kitten. Stare at the sand kitten. Can you make it so now it fills the screen? Do you know animal logic, hearing? I think I've watched them for some time. I think I watched them after I found out Sandcats. I was obsessed with Sandcats for a long time. But it was an even more adorable animal, I know it. What was it? Sandcats. Let's also find a Fennec Fox. Oh wait, no. No. You know what? I'm just going to give you a red panda. This stream has really gone everywhere, hasn't it? That's way too large. Why? Smaller. Red. Stare deeply into its eyes. And yeah, if anyone asks, it's still not loaded, so I'm just looking up cute animals by now. Oh. Alright, half of my search history is now cute animals. What did... Well, I've... Wait. I hear it's loaded. It's finally loaded. Why do I suddenly have a lot of FPS in here? Alright. Panda time is over. Boss time is over. But Jen, this is basically how Planet Coaster looks. I'm really surprised at how well it's performing right now. Also, the controls are different. But this is basically what you can do in Planet Coaster. I think I'm just going to quickly look. But you can see how, well, very much the same it is. Just going to set it on Ultra. They have definitely gone a bit better when it comes to texture. Was there anything that was finished? I mean, this coaster was somewhat finished. This is basically the park that I abandoned. As soon as Planet Zoo came out, because This is actually like half a year's work. Well, half a year. 1.5. Well, no. 1 year's work. This is, I think, the only thing that I missed. That you can really take guests through something. And then you can, of course, add effects. And then I never thought that Theonopolis would be back. I have actually been thinking of like going back into Theonopolis as soon as I get like a new CPU. Is there any other ride that I would like to show you guys? Also, so right now I'm building a palace in Kayan al-Bashar, which I say is like my palace, and then this is my palace also in Theonopolis. Yeah, I mean this palace is a lot smaller, still a castle. Is there any other rides? Oh yeah, there's one. I think this one is just finished. Is the one going up? Nope, there's only one train. I mean, it's still fun to like go on these rides, even though half of them aren't finished, because I never really finished anything. Can I remove that? I have to keep my mouse off it. Like, this is something that I would want implemented too, even though it doesn't fit the game at all, because it's a coaster. It's also, I think, fun because I think nobody will really. Well, there were some people who asked if I ever was going to return to Planet Coaster or Theonopolis. I think none of those people are here today. So the day that I actually somewhat return. Yep. You build the entire ride. You have some flat rides, which you then decorate. Then you have a lot of like, well, not that one. Oh yeah, this was the most difficult thing to set up. Again, I have no idea why it's running so smoothly now. Should be. Where's the thing to go lower? I have to really quickly look at the settings because I have no idea. Controls. Camera. Control. Oh wait, that's controller. Security. Where are the general shortcuts? Q. But that doesn't do what I want. Just going to use this. think no, there are not nothing missing. Well, Theonopolis is actually a lot higher in piece count than Kayan al-Bashar. Wait, this is going to take some time. But yeah, you could also make water shows in Planet Coaster. I'm already going to say, Jen, if you ever think of making a water show, it's painful. Or a water coaster water show. Because this took like 3 days to set up. Even the original Kayan al-Bashar. Probably. Because most of the piece count actually sits in, well, this. This is 5,000, 3,000. I think in a whole, this entire structure was 30 to 40,000 pieces, and then there's like so many pieces everywhere else. Also, yes, the Odeon/theater in Kayan al-Bashar is not the first one I've built. Yeah, and those statues that I have here are from the Team Maker's Toolkit. I have no idea how long this show was anymore. It's just a lot of water. I still like the music though. But yeah, Planet Coaster is a whole different thing than Planet Zoo. I mean, you can already see it in the lighting. Because the lighting in Planet Coaster is a lot more, I would say, basic. There are so many things that I've built here. Again, the Kayan al-Bashar is not the first time I tried building a city. Now I really want to just return here. Was this one ever finished? I really like the Planet Coaster music though, a lot more than I would like all of the Planet Zoo music, because the Planet Coaster music was just crazy. And that's something I miss in Planet Zoo. There's just not enough crazy music. But there is a little bit of the thing of like, if I ever am going to return to this game, it's going to probably take over one slot of Kayan al-Bashar. So then it's either going to be on Wednesday or Friday. Pumpkin on a stick. But yeah, this is basically where I learned to build. Because this is how a lot of the creators that you see today have learned how to build. Oh, that's the end of it. Yeah, they do rate them, so... Well, for a river rapids, this is a good stat, but then for like... Oh, this one isn't tested yet. I mean, I can just take you guys on every ride today. Oh, the head disappeared. There was a statue here, now it looks a little bit weird. Autosave. That was still an annoying thing back then. So yeah, imagine a hat here. But that was a piece, Team Maker's Toolkit item. And I didn't load those up before I started. Well, learn to build is, I think, actually a strong word, because before I made videos, I always had like, well, month-long builds where I built on a park for a month and then I got bored and deleted it and started again. It's only because of the videos that I really am able to stick to one thing. I don't think I built this one on video, actually. This was actually going to be a surprise thing. But I see all like the missing mosaics and everything. But if you are somewhat familiar with building in Planet Zoo, then Planet Coaster is going to feel almost exactly the same. So yeah, if you see anyone in the comments asking for what happened to my Greek park, this is it. I still have one person actually asking me on Steam if I can give him this park, which I don't know if I can do that. But yeah, so Gen 2, basically sum it up, the difference between Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo is mostly like lighting and, well, just like the building is pretty much the same. That's why a lot of creators are good at building in Planet Zoo, because building in Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster is basically the same. But it's mostly like lighting and such, and just, I don't know how you would call it, but yeah, lighting and how things look is pretty different, because it looks a lot more, I would say, defined in Planet Zoo. Like shadows look a lot better. So many coasters that I just didn't care enough about anymore. And I never finished them. And actually, I have a shader on here, or an effect. So this is actually how it naturally looks. So I already blended out a lot. Hey Kane. Yeah, I'm showing Jen and other people how Planet Coaster looked, or looks. I think this is the most familiar ride for everyone in Planet Zoo. Just the boat rides. There was supposed to be music with this thing, but there isn't. Yeah, wonderful world of Planet Coaster. Why aren't you doing anything? That's the one thing, sometimes music just weird. But I can't play this thing without filter because it looks weird. But Kane, you are just dropping in at the end of the stream. Also, I'm going to go over because we just built a bakery in Planet Zoo, so I want to show you guys how I made a bakery in Planet Coaster. If I can find one. Because I have... Oh yeah, here. No, wait, this... Yeah, this is a bakery. This is how a bakery would look in Planet Coaster. With actual pies and such. Pumpkins. There was a lot more of like detailing items that were like useful for one thing, and then the community found a way to make them useful for other things. This is how a pastry shop in Planet Coaster would look like. Yeah, I understand, Kane. I also know that today everybody streamed. I streamed out of somewhat necessity because I didn't have a video for today. But I'm still shocked at how good the performance is in Theonopolis. I also know that now, next time I make a video in Kayan al-Bashar, I will 20 times in the intro say Theonopolis. Oh yeah, anyone want to go to a butcher? Like, these were all the tiny details. This is why I love building in Planet Coaster, because you can build those tiny details. It's just the lighting now compared to Planet Zoo that's kind of like ticking me off. But yeah, I'm going to end the stream here, otherwise I will keep talking, and yeah. So this is going to be very quick though, to get out of this thing. Like, that's the only thing that my computer is very quick at, throwing me out of a game. Whoops, that's not... But yeah, that's going to be it. I might, now that I've looked at it again, think about not restarting, but going back to Theonopolis. But I will put that on like the community tab of like another poll, instead of Constantinopolis, Theonopolis again. But anyway, that's going to be it. I hope all of you enjoyed the stream, and next stream will be tomorrow, same time probably. Bye bye. Kane, that's my way of saying bye bye. Or saying bye. So have a good night.